A number of our listeners are asking, what is that song, Into the Night, actually about?
I was living in Spanish Harlem in an apartment building, and there was another family in the apartment building that had 3 kids, 15, 16, and 17 years old, two girls and a boy. And I was sort of the resident rock star, you know, because I was making records and everything. And one night there was a knock at my door, and I opened the door, and the 3 kids were standing there in tears. And I said, what in the world's going on? And I brought them into my apartment, and they said, our dad just left my mom and us destitute, and he's not coming back. This was a guy who was a struggling set designer on Broadway. And when he landed his first big show, instead of doing what most people I know in my life would do, which is take care of your family, come home and say, my ship has come in, our ship has come in, we're going to go get a house. Instead, he ran off with some 24-year-old girl in the chorus line and left his family destitute. I hugged him, and I told him, it's all going to work out. It's all going to work out, not really knowing if it was or not, but I had to be there for them. And so I decided to give all 3 of the kids a job. The 15-year-old boy, every day after school, he would come to my apartment, and I'd give him $20 to run up and get me a gallon of milk, pack of cigarettes, something like that. Sometimes I just made it up. And then I'd tell him to keep the change, and that way he would have money in his pocket because he was 15 years old and in school. The 17-year-old sister, I paid her $50 every Saturday to come in and clean my apartment. But the 16-year-old girl, Heidi, she was the most devastated that her father had done such a thing, such a terrible thing. And so I hired her. I had a basset hound named Zanky Albo Rubadoo, young Zank. He's been on a few of my albums. And I paid her to come to my apartment, let herself in every morning before school, take the dog for a walk, bring him back, feed him, and then when I woke up in the afternoon, I'd take over. Well, one night, Robert Tepper and I were up all night writing, trying to come up with melody or lyrics for this riff. And the riff went, dun, 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 dun. And we couldn't come up with anything. And all of a sudden, the lock turned in the door, and I said, oh, my God, it's morning already. We've been up all night. And she walked in dressed for school. You got to figure 1980, mini skirt, stacked heels, 16 going on 21. And she says, you look like you've been up all night. I said, we have. And she got the dog, and as she walked out the door, my partner went, oh, my Lord. And I said, hey, pal, she's just 16 years old. Leave her alone. And I said, play that riff again. Dun, 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 dun. She's just 16 years old. Leave her alone, they say. And from that, I wrote the song within the next 2 hours. Bob and I wrote the song. And the song is about abandonment. It's like having a dream, struggling set designer. It's like having a dream where nobody has a heart. It's like having it all. He landed a show. Having it all and watching it fall apart. And if I could fly, I'd pick you up and take you into the night and show you a love like you've never seen. It was simply a metaphor for the fact that, you know, I was in my 20s, she was 16 years old, and she was like a kid sister to me. I didn't have any romantic feelings or anything. She was like a kid, you know. She was like my kid sister. And the record, you know, as you know, blew up and was the record of 1980. And she became so popular for being the girl in the song that she started getting invited to all the A-list parties in Manhattan, New York City. And she met and fell in love with the son of a hotel builder. And they ultimately got married. And she lives in a beautiful mansion. And her mother lived with them until she passed away. And her brother works for the company. And every Christmas I get a card, and it simply says, you changed my life. Well, it not only changed her life, but it changed my life because I went from being broke and a struggling writer, singer, to 6 million records, and the rest is history, as they say. But that's the true story.